welcome to episode 3 of the Hero Unit podcast, the Exotic Edition, where we'll be discussing all of the new and old exotic weapons and armor, and how we like them, how we got them, and which ones we think should just be thrown out, the Mark 44 stand-asides. On the podcast today, I will be hosting as per usual, and I am Metro Ryushi. We have our California contingent being represented by Nem.
What's going on?
We have the northern reaches being represented by Pyro.
Oh.
And then coming out of the community and out of Florida today is our good friend Roosterland. What's up, Rooster?
Hello. How you guys doing?
So I think we should do what we did last week. I think it was a fun way to kind of get to know everybody. And start with, what is everybody's favorite race and class? I do need to submit a bit of a correction on what I said last week for myself. After playing, I'm just out and out going to call Hunter my new favorite class. I still like the Awoken the best, but my Hunter is just now straight up my favorite character.
Which is odd, because originally you didn't like the Hunter.
Which is odd, for sure. And I still far prefer the Titan to the Warlock, but the more I play my Hunter, the more I just think it's a brilliant amount of fun. So, Rooster, what about you? What is your favorite racing class?
The race, I think, is Exo. Class, probably Hunter. That's the one I've spent the most time on.
Do you usually spend time on the... Oh, go ahead.
I just like the way they can, the invisibility perk that they have.
So you're spending time on Blade Dancer?
Yes.
Nice. Alright, so Nem, what about you, man?
So I actually have all three of my characters as human. And as far as favorite class goes, definitely Warlock for me.
Okay.
I run both Sunsinger, and I just recently started to love the Voidwalker.
So we've had discussions about this before, that I think Sunsinger is more fun, but I don't particularly care for Voidwalker. What makes it fun for you, man?
So Voidwalker, with the proper build, it is a class set for nothing but purple explosions.
Good way to put it.
You know, if you have the right gear, the right perks selected, oh man, it's just Nova Bomb and purple explosions for days, and that's a lot of fun to see all those enemies just exploding off of each other.
I think there's just something satisfying about being the glass cannon. Just knowing you're fragile, but knowing you can wreck anything on the battlefield at the same time it's a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
Skull of Ahamkara and the Ram exist, so.
Well, more importantly, Obsidian Mine.
That's true too.
Oh yes.
But we'll get to those helmets. So Pyro, it sounds I think we have a good idea of what your favorite is, but what about you, man?
Yeah, anybody who's played with me knows it's Warlock. Although Titan's becoming not a close second, but easily second.
Hey, look at that.
But that's just because I've got the gear for it. My Hunter just has no gear.
Sure.
And I prefer the Awoken myself. Exos are a second. I've never, in any fantasy RPG or anything, I never pick human. I just figure if you're going to be in a fantasy environment, why go with what you are?
Because I actually enjoy being humans. I think it's fun to be that normal guy in a race, or in a world full of everybody else. Be like, oh my god, I can survive as a nobody. You know.
Yeah, just something's always fun about being something different. Yes.
That's fair. So here's my other question to you. Does everybody... well, Nem, you already answered. You said everybody's human. I know I have 2 Awoken and 1 human. What about you guys, Rooster and Pyro, are all three of yours exos, or have you switched it up?
I've switched it up. I have 2 exos and 1 human. Titan's human, and the other 2 are exos.
Sure.
I have 1 Awoken and 2 Exos. I know that's a little backwards, but my Warlock is the Awoken. Titan I created last, and I just didn't want to make it human.
Sure.
I just like the idea of a killer robot. And the Hunter I decided to make Exo just because I love HK-47 from KOTOR,
Nice.
and I just wanted to kill meatbags.
And ironically,
Good
you
answer.
don't really kill that many meatbags because you loathe the Crucible.
I do, very much.
You do.
Systems failing, master.
Boom. So one of the reasons I asked that question is because, our Destiny has this tagline of "Become Legend," and the reason I mixed it up like I did, and I actually switched genders on mine too. I have a male Titan, and then my Warlock and my Hunter are female, because I love this idea of somebody sitting here and retelling our tales and being able to say there and say, Metro Ryushi, he was this awesome, awoken Titan. It's like, no, he wasn't. He wasn't even a he, and he wasn't a Titan. She was an awoken Warlock. It's like, no, she wasn't a Warlock, nor was she a awoken.
So you like the, just a reference, Legends of the Dark Knight approach,
Yeah.
where it's just a bunch of people telling stories.
Yeah, I love the idea
None of which are necessarily true, but
Exactly. I like the idea of it being something kind of foggy and mysterious, and it allows for the story ambiguity of, there's how many Guardians playing and how many people have killed Crota. Well, maybe I was the one to go kill Crota, maybe I wasn't, So,
the world may never know.
I don't know. I probably overthought all my character creation, but that's what I did. So,
Yeah, I just made them. Like, yeah, that looks cool.
Yeah,
I'll give my Exo a racing stripe. Why not?
Yeah, the horns coming off the top of his head.
Yeah.
And if
Depends on the
I'm
robot.
sure, as you guys are aware, I've had multiple characters. I actually used to have a couple of Awokens that later got turned to human.
oh, that's right, because you're insane.
I am a little bit crazy. Original Hunter was Awoken, switched human, and Titan was Awoken, switched human, back to Awoken, back to human.
That's
He's very
silly.
confused.
A little bit, yeah.
That's funny. Well, at least we know Batman was always human in Legends of the Dark Knight. But
Vampire.
good call. I forgot about that one. You're right.
Boom.
All right. So there are, I think, like I said, today is the exotic edition of the Hero Unit podcast, and there are tons and tons of exotics.
Shiny.
We have plenty of options, but the problem is, as every Destiny player knows, you can only have one of each at a time. So one exotic weapon, one exotic armor piece. But I know that Pyro and I have both been collecting tons and tons of the exotics.
Too.
Yeah, and I assume, Rooster, you have a whole pile of them as well.
Oh yeah.
So why don't we just kind of sit here and discuss first, what do exotics allow us to do? What do you like about them? Is there anything that you sit there and say, because of exotics, my playstyle changes type of an idea? Or do you just look at them as straight, here's numbers, here's perks, and I'm just going to play because it's on? So, Rooster, how do you feel about that?
I like the perks about. I don't know. Ask somebody else first. Let me think about that for a second.
All right. So, Nem, what about you, man?
So for me, the exotics, as the name says, the exotics, they're unique pieces of gear. that allow you to kind of break apart from the standard skills that you already have or add upon the ones that you do have. So it opens up at least to me, it opens up the versatility of what I can do with my Guardian. Um, so, for example, well, this is one of the new ones for House of Wolves, the Khepri Sting, um, which allows a hunter, no matter what class, become invisible by crouching down. So now you can be a gunslinger and still retain the invisibility perk of a blade dancer, and I think that's awesome, of what exotics allow you to do.
Or even more so, if you're a blade dancer, you don't have to then spend that point on invisibility.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So,
Okay.
So what I this is kind of a fundamental thing I have just about certain pieces. I feel like exotics do allow for a variety of playstyle changes, um, but they also allow you to be, for lack of a better term, sloppier with some of your playstyles. Um, so, for example, the don't touch me's on the hunter, right? Um,
Yes.
the don't touch me's have a couple different perks, but their main one and why everybody uses them is that if you get hit with a melee attack, and these are hunter gloves, by the way, you go invisible briefly, and this invisibility doesn't steal your normal invisibility. It doesn't take away from your blink strike invisibility. It's just you get meleeed, you go invisible, and it triggers pretty commonly. Um, and it's one of those things that it's really neat and it's fun and allows me to run the abyss by myself much easier, but it rewards me for being in situations that I shouldn't be in, and that's being surrounded in melee. So I feel like exotics allow you to be not quite as careful.
Right.
well,
Yeah,
I
that's the way to put
see
it.
that's one way to look at it. Particularly with that one, and since you brought it up,
Yeah,
I would argue it allows you to play more in a playstyle you may want to. Like, maybe you really enjoy melee combat, but in endgame content, that's not viable. You're not going to be able to do that.
sure,
Those allow you to do it and still be able to play
sure.
and have fun doing it your way. Sure, there are people that, abuse it, but I mean,
I mean,
it
the Acleophage symbiote, the hunter helmet that gives an extra shot to Golden Gun, is pretty well used by a lot of people. So
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
But that's really just expanding upon an ability that you already had.
right,
Throws people off guard as well because
They're not
they're not
expecting
paying
it, right?
Exactly.
yeah. So when it comes down to certain exotics, and let's just pull out the Titan boots, the MK44 stand asides. Their major perk is that you get an extra 3 seconds on the window for shoulder charge. And if you know me and you know how much I like playing Titan, I will sit here and I'll call these things the Mark 44 throwaways. I don't like them. I think they're garbage.
Right.
I think
Right.
shoulder charge is an ability that outside of PvP is pretty much worthless. And honestly, this
I'd agree.
goes kind of back into my sloppiness conversation of if you're already using shoulder charge, chances are you know what range you need to be before you can hit somebody with it. So the extra 3 seconds seems worthless to me.
I'd agree.
Good
I-
point. Yeah.
I personally haven't done a lot of shoulder charging, but
I've killed Omnigul with a shoulder charge, so
that's true. That's true. You did.
you were there.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was fun. Side
I
note,
was there.
that counts for killing a wizard with a shoulder charge for the Eris bounty. Just so y'all know.
Okay.
It does. She is a
Um,
wizard.
So, I mean, for certain exotics like the stand aside or even the peregrine boost, which say if you shoulder charge in the air, extra damage. These these kind of small modification exotics, are they worth it? Or I mean, is it
I
really
wouldn't say
just a
they're worth
play
an exotic
style
slot.
thing?
Yeah, definitely not worth an exotic slot.
That's
'Cause
the difference.
it doesn't feel like a big game changer in in order to really call them an exotic item.
Yeah.
Right.
So what
Yeah.
would be like? Let's just stick on armor for right now. What would be like a game changing like this is exotic? What is that armor piece that comes to your mind, Nem?
So, for example, right now I'm upgrading the new pair of Titan gauntlets,
Oh,
and they
very
are
much so.
called they are called the ACD/zero feedback fins. And these, when you take a melee attack when somebody hits you, it deals an area of effect damage around you.
That's
So
cool.
and that's one of those things that could be a slight game changer in, for example, a rumble match, and you don't see who's coming behind you, and if it's a hunter, they hit you. If they're already low on health, that area of effect is going to kill them.
They're coming with you.
And it's yeah, exactly, and it's things like that that kind of like alter the battlefield. It may seem like this is more oriented to Crucible as to PvE, because really, when are you going to be that close to to enemies to really get the full use of these gauntlets? You know, I mean,
You could
it's
But
very
then how
argue
many times?
the
Go ahead.
abyss, getting swarmed by
Yep.
thralls.
yeah,
I'd
but
say
that's situational too.
Yeah. Well,
That's
that's
one
what I think a
instance.
lot of our conversation on what exotic armor is a lot of it is really
Yeah.
situational.
there are only a few that really are just good for anything.
Yeah.
I mean, Armamentarium, which just allows you to hold buckets of ammo and an extra grenade.
For the
That's going to
Titan.
be good no matter where you're using it.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and I keep going back to hunter pieces, but majoritarily I think hunter pieces are the most generalist. Um, the knucklehead radar, that exotic helmet, is so good
Yes.
because it gives all of your primary weapons third eye. Incredible. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
it is the
Not
helmet
so
that
useful
I
if you already have it, but
right. But I'm leveling Khepri Sting right now as well. Otherwise, I would be using it in the Crucible because that is my Crucible helm. It
oh yeah.
just is. So
Fun fact about the Capri Sting.
they're giant
Even
beetles.
though even though it doesn't say it in the description other than its name, they still do poison damage when you stab people from behind.
That's
Really?
what I heard about
Yep.
them.
Yeah, back when
Yeah.
they were originally data mined, that particular effect was mentioned. But now that they've actually released, they removed that description for some reason, but it still
Well,
works.
well, interestingly, it only mentioned the poison. It didn't mention
Yeah.
the invisibility or the damage buff.
Right. Oh, okay.
So yeah, all it said was when you hit somebody, you get DOT damage,
Gotcha.
which
So
that was awesome by itself.
Right.
so one thing I think we all go through is having to collect these exotics, and for players like us, I think all fair of us, it's very fair to say we play a lot of this game. We do the raids, we do the nightfalls, we do all this stuff, so we have plenty of opportunity to get them. How do we feel about the amount of ways there are to get exotics? Are you okay with just waiting for Zur every week, or do you run your nightfalls? Do you run the raids still? Do you go through and do Prison of Elders and hope to have a key? How do we feel about this?
I still play it just like I have, still do even with the new stuff. Hoping for a new one. Something new to try and upgrade, like the Monte Carlo I got last night. That's pretty cool. I'm enjoying it.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Always looking for new ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing as well. Um, there are a lot of ways to get exotics, um, especially now, a little more so than back when Destiny originally came out.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
but the one thing that I was kind of slightly bothered by is the fact that the raids don't drop new exotics.
They do.
They will.
They
I
they
heard
will they
Bungie
will
say
drop
they
the
didn't.
347. It's the only one that can
Hmm.
drop, but it will drop the 347 Vest in Dynasty.
No, but I mean, as far as literally the new exotics that dropped with House of Wolves, they dropped the exotics at the upgraded damage level back like when the Dark Below came out.
Yeah.
But you're not gonna get Kepri Sting out of the Vault of Glass or Crota's End.
Oh,
Well, in all
Yeah.
fairness, that's because they've only ever provoked weapon drops anyway. The only thing that really gained you the ability to get um,
Nightfalls.
was Nightfalls. Yeah.
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 So and it's
And now the
interesting.
prison.
Oh, go ahead, Rooster.
And now the prison. That's all I said. Get the out
Oh,
of the
yeah.
exotic chest at the end of the prison.
Because one of the things that I was looking at, and I was doing this count, is I've had 9 potential exotic drops this week, and just from what I've run, I've done 3 Nightfalls, um, I've done 3 exotic chests out of the vault, and then a Prison of Elders, and I forget what the rest of them were, but I was doing my count, and it was like 9 possible exotic drops, and I didn't get anything, which was a little frustrating, but still, I mean that's a lot of chances. Admittedly, I have
Yep.
3 characters, but it's you have a fair shot at getting an exotic, which I think is a good thing.
Yes.
It's got to be like a hit and miss then sometimes, because sometimes you'll have not you in particular, but person will have a good week where you get something out of all 9 of those tries.
Yeah.
Yep.
And other weeks
can't have-
you'll have like a whole dry month where you don't get anything.
Yeah. Oh, believe you me.
Or 2 months. Or
Yeah, so maybe it's just Bungie's way of keeping you in the game, enticed, trying to get more. That's all I can figure.
That gambling effect.
Right.
yeah.
Speaking of Monte Carlo, um, so and this is one of the things that I kind of sit at, and I was thinking about it last night. If you look at my exotic weapon collection, I have 22 of the 24 that were pre House of Wolves. I'm only missing a Hawkmoon, and I'm only missing Fourth Horseman. That's it. Once I get those, my exotic weapon collection, generally speaking, is complete. Because we'll get into the exotic bounties here in a minute, but it's a little ridiculous that I have that many exotic weapons. And as I was sitting here thinking about it, I'm like, once I have my collection complete, I don't know what I'm really going to be aiming for. Like, I feel like
Right.
if there's any endpoint of the game for me, it's getting all the exotics. I mean, Pyro, do you feel that way, or?
I don't know. I'm always kind of setting new stuff for me to do. Like right now, my main goal is, and I'm sure it's crazy, but the Queen's armor, getting all the variants of those for my Warlock, because I want to be able to, when a Prison of Elders comes up and run a 35, trying to help somebody that's like, say, a 33. I want to be able to just have a full armor set for the Hive portions, a full armor set for the Cabal portions, and just get all those buffs. And that's going to take a long time.
Well, I mean, you're looking at 16, potentially 16 weeks, and that's assuming that you're not getting
Yep.
anything out of the 35 package.
Yep. And
that's
then I'm
fair.
going to move on to probably my Titan, my Hunt, and do the same. So,
That's fair.
because if nothing else, the armor looks great,
Yeah,
in my opinion.
I want the Trials gear more,
I
but
love it. I love it.
but we're going to talk about Trials next week because man, Trials is rough. But so I
Trials of
mean,
the Thorn.
yeah, right. Vex of Osiris. So, so Rooster, what about you? I mean, what do you feel like there's any specific like endpoint coming up, or you just having fun running everything and just saying, screw it?
Pretty much just having fun, but I don't know. Um, yeah, I'm just having fun leveling the gear and helping people, hoping to get new stuff. The only thing that I really haven't gotten yet is the Galahorn.
Yeah,
Not really too concerned about it. I don't think it'll ever happen.
it'll happen. Nem's gotten 5, I've gotten 2, Pyro's gotten 1. You'll get it.
My goodness.
So,
And damn, I just pulled a brain fart. Can't even think what the hell I was gonna say. Never mind.
all right.
It's okay,
wow,
we'll edit it out.
wow, this
Yeah.
person got a 2
Sorry.
passage coins and a legendary fusion rifle. That's impressive.
Split shifter.
They were in 4th. Um, so there are, as I said, plenty of different ways to get exotics, and I love that fact. I love the fact that I can go into a Dragon Strike playlist, and it may not be a great chance, but it is a chance that I can get it. I can run into the Vault of Glass and know, oh, that's what my other thing was. Is I ran Crota 3 times this week, and that's 6 chances right there. 3 out of the Death Singer and 3 out of Crota himself. So plenty of chances to get stuff. And then you have the exotic bounty weapons. I think the original 5 were totally fine. I think everybody's
Can you
doing
drop a
bounties.
little bit more?
Well, I've gotten 14 myself.
I have not.
But I mean, everybody's doing their bounties. You're bound to get them eventually. You may not get the one you want, but you're bound to get them. I mean, it wasn't until my 7th that I got my super good advice. But they drop. They're not bad to get. No big deal. House of Wolves added 2 new exotic bounties: the Unknown Patron for the Fate of All Fools exotic pulse rifle, which is obtainable. Apparently, nobody knows. Supposedly, it's from winning 5 Crucible matches, and then the majority or the entire bounty is done in a mixture of Crucible and Trials of Osiris. And then you have the Elder
As
Cipher.
of this recording, no one's reported one yet.
Yeah, I have seen nobody with the Unknown Patron yet. Then you have the Elder Cipher, which is obtainable only through the 34 and 35 challenge mode Prison of Elders. And this one is unique even further in so much that when you complete it, you get a choice of one of 3 exotics. So if you want all the exotics, you have to luck out and get this thing 3 times. I know personally, I mean, the Unknown Patron, cool, whatever. It's just a 1-for-1 thing, no big deal. And if you're able to get it from Crucible, great. But the Elder Cipher, to me, I really highly dislike this bounty. I don't like the way you get it. I don't like the fact that 3 weapons are tied to it, which means I have to luck out and get the thing 3 times. And I know, Nem,
sound
you're
kinda
chasing
grueling.
this thing pretty hard.
Like a madman.
Yeah, exactly.
And I saw one drop on me too.
Well,
In the
not on
worst of
you.
ways. Not on me, but in the worst of ways, I saw one drop. And I agree with you on that, Metro, that I dislike the way you obtain this particular exotic bounty because, again, it's under the RNG of Destiny. And the fact that it drops from the final boss of the 34 and 35, which if you guys have done the 34 this week, you guys can see what a gigantic pain in the butt the last boss is, which is nearly impossible if you don't have maxed out Galahorns. And I hate to be that guy to say that, but I spent a good 3 hours trying to do that
Oh wow.
with the mechanics that were intended. It's just incredibly difficult. I mean, it's insanely difficult to do by its mechanics, and that's the only way you have a shot to get the Elder Cipher. That or beat Stolas.
And then once you finally get the Elder Cipher, you have to go in and kill something like 10 or 15 challenge bosses, which is
What?
Yeah, you.
yeah.
It's
Oh, it's a
almost
brutal bounty.
yeah.
Oh my goodness. I thought the
I
thorn
hear
was
that
bad.
the worst part. I hear that the worst part of that bounty is the waiting period. You
Yep.
have to wait for Varix to summon you, which can vary by player. Some people have said they get summoned a couple hours in. Some say they get summoned 3 days later. It's
Yeah.
completely random.
That sounds horrible.
Yep.
So, and based off of, I mean, Thorn may not have been pleasant to do because of that void weapon section, which, if you don't know, you have to earn 500 points in the Crucible in the middle of this bounty. But to do it, you have to kill all 500 points with void weapons. One kill equals 5 points, but each death that you obtain pulls -2 points. So if you go 1-1, you're netting 3 points, and it's rough.
Yep.
It's an unpleasant thing to do, especially after the special weapon changes they put in, and it's not great, but at least you didn't have to go through this painful process to get it. And it's just, you know what, I'm going to do it. I'll get Thorn, and then I'll have a fun weapon, and, you know, no big deal. But Elder Cipher, it's brutal to get it, and then it's brutal to do it, and then you have to do it 3 times. It seems ridiculous to me.
Yeah, and
Well, but
it's absurd, to be honest. I mean, I would understand, like, even if they put it in the 32 level, but to lock it in the 34 and the 35 kind of sucks.
Yeah.
was
because-
that
and
intentional?
According
Sorry,
to
Dan.
Nem, you tweeted at one of the Bungie guys, and they got back to you about it.
That was towards elemental primaries.
Oh, was it? No,
Yeah,
because I saw
yeah.
you tweet something about the Elder Cipher, because you specifically asked about it. I think it was Christopher
That
Barrett, I think.
Yeah, but I didn't get an answer for that one. He had answered me prior to
Oh,
that.
gotcha.
Yeah, about elemental primaries.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's one of those things that I don't know if they were trying to be, you know, cool and change things up, or if they just totally disconnected their brains and did not realize what they were doing. But I don't like it. I don't like the Elder Cipher at all. I think it's a bad way to do it, and I think it's crap that I have to do it 3 times.
Yeah.
I agree with that. Not looking forward to that one.
Yeah. Because,
Yeah.
and I'll be honest,
Artificial rarity.
I haven't even successfully pulled off completing a 34 yet, and that's partially due to the fact that I don't really care about prison. I'm not having fun with it, but I haven't. 34 is really hard.
Yeah. The 34 last week was incredibly easier compared to what it is this week. Which the last boss for the 34 of last week is now the last
32.
boss of the
Yeah.
32. Yeah.
So, well, and on top of this, and this is something else I wanted to kind of bring up, when you get into the Trials of Osiris, you can now obtain, for the first time ever, an exotic emblem, an exotic sparrow, and an exotic ship. These are things that, you know, didn't need an exotic, in my opinion, didn't need an exotic rarity. But, you know, Pyro, am I wrong in this? How do you feel about this?
I agree. I am not one of the lucky few that's blessed with ships every other day. I mean, since I got my Ether Eater, 3 months ago, I finally got a non-raid ship. Little light, but
And
It's
admittedly, you
taken
got a
3
really
months.
cool one. Yeah.
Admittedly, and I'm not discrediting that, but it took 3 months for me to even see a new ship drop outside of raids.
Oh, I'm not disagreeing with you because the day after you got your Ether Reader, I got my Ripship Partner, and then I didn't get my next legendary until last month's Iron Banner.
Right.
So,
And some people get lucky. Some people get it, and I see people get multiple ones in one day. I'm just not one of those lucky few. For them, it's probably great. For me, I'm not too thrilled with it.
so
Sparrows, I could care less about, to be completely honest. They're fun, but they're absolutely useless. So,
I'd like to say something in the Sparrow department, and I'm sorry, Pyro.
no, you're fine.
Because this is something that really, really, really peeves me. All of the Sparrows from Vault of Glass, Crota's End, and I haven't seen the Trials of Osiris one, but I'm assuming...
Oh, they're all the same.
they're
doing-
120.
Exactly. They are reskins of the Timebreaker. I mean, the Sparrow doesn't deserve an exotic title if it's just going to do the same thing, if it's going to look the same of a Timebreaker.
In my opinion, legitimately the only exotic so far, Sparrow, was the Tumbler. It's the only one.
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
It's the only one that has a unique effect in and of itself. Every other one has been copied,
Yeah.
Exactly.
but that
blows
did
up
not
on you
receive
if
an
you go too
exotic
fast.
status.
No, it didn't. And I like the fact that they were putting in, this special. You play trials, you can get rewarded. I like that. I just don't think it should have been an exotic.
Yeah.
I agree.
I think that's weird, and I think it's a way for them to artificially say, look how cool my character looks, because you got a random ship, just like anybody else could. Yours just happens to be yellow. When you're looking at weapons and armor, that stuff deserves to be exotic for all the reasons we're gonna go into, and have gone into. But ships, we don't do anything with them. Why is it exotic?
What I would have preferred is if they had given an exotic shell for the Ghost. At least that's something you see and you can enjoy.
Yeah.
Or
Other
shells
people
in
may
general.
not, but you
Yeah,
can. Well,
exactly.
right. Shells would have been nice, but if they were going to do an exotic for a slot that hasn't had an exotic yet, I would have preferred to see one for the Ghost.
Sure.
Especially since the symbol itself is an eye. And that's what your Ghost is an eye.
And a key. It opens stuff.
Well, yeah.
Hey, according to the
Yeah,
Omnigul
it's a
strike,
master key.
he's created to open doors.
He's no claptrap.
He is no class.
Not even close.
Those were designed to open doors.
So, all right. So we've discussed, kind of how we get them, why we get them. Other people, Nem, have incredible luck at this stuff, and then some of us, like myself, we have decent luck, and then people like Pyro have crap luck at getting stuff. No offense, Pyro.
Oh, that I openly admit it.
But admittedly, when we're looking at, and I think it would be remiss to have a conversation about exotics and not mention Zur. Zur was a really big part of getting my exotic weapon collection. I think I counted out of my 22, something like 8 or 9 came out of him. So, I mean, I know, even though I know I'm going to wake up and I'm going to be disappointed, I still wake up early every Friday morning before I go to work, log on, go to Zur, get my stuff, and then log off. Rooster, do you do the same, or?
Absolutely. That's why I run the Nightfalls every week to get the coins and just hoping that he's going to have something good.
Hoping for that Yowler horn, huh?
Well, at first it was hoping for the Ceros, which I got
Yeah. Unfortunately, it was for me after the nerf, but
Yeah.
Of course, same
Oh,
here. The first one I ever got from him was the last word, and I have probably yet to use it.
Oh, I love the last word for Crucible. It's not great in PvE, but I do love it in
No.
Crucible.
I just don't do
it's
enough
fun
of
in
it.
PvE.
It is, but there's better options. But we're gonna get into that.
Oh
So-
God, yeah.
So, I mean, how do you do it? I mean, do you wake up early or do you stay up till 4 in the morning? Like how, or do you
Oh
just
no,
be
I
like,
used
ah, it's
to.
Saturday, I'm just gonna go see Zur now.
I now instead of logging on, I just go to the Bungie.net site and see what he's got,
Sure,
without even wasting.
that's fair. Um, and I think maybe I was incorrect in this, but I actually searched for him in the tower this morning, and or the reef, and he was not there. He was last week, but
That's
he
where
was
I
not
went
this
first.
week. Yeah. So apparently he may
Yeah.
show up in the reef, but not always.
Yeah.
Well, last week he was in the reef.
Oh, he wasn't in the tower?
Yeah, the first week of House of Wolves, he was in the reef in one of the doors that's closed at the
Yep.
far end.
Right.
Oh, I just thought
Yep.
I just assumed he was going to be in both. I didn't know he goes to one or the other.
No, it's one or the
Yeah.
other.
Gotcha.
We're waiting for Bungie to get
Actually,
you
I
to
don't know if you
travel around
guys
the
knew
world.
this, but I remember one of the developers saying that the way they planned Xur and the drops in raids was Xur was meant to be the primary way for Guardians to get their exotic gear and exotic weapons. But players clung onto that RNG for dear life, and they kind of threw Xur as a second option, basically. They reversed what Bungie intended to do.
So,
Well,
and I've heard people kind of talk about this before that, oh, you bought your patience and time from Xur. Yours doesn't count. It's not very good, whatever. You didn't earn it. I'm sorry, but I still had, if I did
Yeah,
that,
I
I still had
did.
to earn my coins. I had, he had to show up with it.
Yeah.
Do you guys feel
it
there's any difference from buying an exotic and earning it, or rather getting it randomly dropped from a Nightfall?
no, not
No.
not at all. And I'll tell you why, because it's showing up, Yallarhorn excluded, but it showing up at Xur is just as not RNG, but it's just as RNG as it's showing up at the end of a Nightfall or at the end of Crota. It's all luck.
Yeah.
Of course.
You didn't earn that patience and time because you beat Crota. You just got lucky.
See,
That's all it is.
That's the
Yeah.
thing is, I would argue when you buy something from Xur, you've earned it more than if you
You've
get it
done
as a
more
drop.
work for that.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So-
You've actually put in the
Nice.
time and the effort to do something.
Yeah. All the times you die in the Nightfall, that's earning it.
Yup. And so for I know like like I mentioned, for somebody like myself, I have really almost everything Xur can bring, and that's just I've played way too much in the past 6 months, and I have a lot, and I've specifically went to Xur every week. I've had my coins every week. I've been able to do that, but I've heard arguments of Xur being irrelevant anymore, that he doesn't actually do anything for players. And I know for me at
Yeah.
least, I'm buying shards from him and I'm getting my engrams, which is great. But I don't know that I would go so far to say that he's irrelevant.
Yeah, I don't
Well,
agree
anybody
with
who's
that
saying
either.
that right now is lying. Because
Yeah.
if you got your purifier robes, well, not purifier robes, sorry, but if you got all the new helms and the new gauntlets, and you're still
He's not
saying
right.
that, you're lying.
Yeah.
Just trying
Because
to
you
start
didn't get
something.
all of those from Nightfalls. You didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's completely true. And I mean, Xur is still the best way to get heavy ammo synths.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
for sure. I'm
Yeah, so there's
stuck
no way
this
in
game.
hell Xur is irrelevant. He might be irrelevant to the day one users that only
That's
need
probably
ammo
who's saying
sync.
that.
Well, but in all fairness,
To
the only reason
everybody.
he's relevant there is because they just don't have coins.
Right?
Well, it's either that or they have a lot of the
Oh,
stuff
day
already.
one is
But to the
in. You
players,
played day one.
yeah.
Sorry, I meant like new players.
Yeah.
Oh
Oh
no, no,
no.
no. I meant like
That's what I thought he meant too.
Yeah.
yeah, no, I meant like to like new players, Xur is going to be helpful. But to the day one people, the ones that's got the game in September, they're probably going to have a lot of this stuff already.
Yeah. So I think it's fair to say then that we're all fans of Zer. We like him. We want him to stay around. We see him every week.
Oh yeah. I look
Oh,
forward
yeah,
to these visits.
it's always fun. I mean, when he brings nothing for you, it's still a nice little, okay, today could be my lucky day.
So-
yeah.
Odds are,
So
You
and
still
this
get a
this
surprise
is
from the engrams.
and it's something
Yeah.
that I do just because might as well have a little extra fun with him. But I make sure when I get up and I visit him, I don't look at anything. Pyro and I always text Friday mornings. We talk about what we get, but I refuse to look at my phone until I've actually found him and bought stuff because I think it's fun to actually go just hunt him down.
Yeah.
it's the little things.
Yeah, right.
All right. So we've covered a lot of ground, and now let's just get down to the exotics themselves. Armor wise, let's just go kind of class by class and just say what our favorites are. In the interest of time, I don't want to sit here and go piece by piece, but
Right.
let's start with the warlocks. Nem, what do you use in your warlock? What are your go-to pieces?
I have two main pieces that I'm a fan of: the Void Fang Vestments and the Obsidian Mine.
And they do
Mainly-
what?
So Void Fangs, I use that heavily for Crucible because upon respawning, you get full grenade energy. And that's fantastic for the Crucible. I mean, whether you're Sunsinger or Voidwalker, it's awesome. And for PvE, I use Obsidian Mind heavily. And I combine that with that Juju, and I am good to go.
Unstoppable.
So,
as far as Sunsinger wise,
what
pretty
is
close.
for those who listen and don't know why would you pair Bad Juju and Obsidian Mind?
So Obsidian Mind has the perk that whenever you use your Nova Bomb to kill multiple enemies, it replenishes your super faster. And the special effect on Bad Juju is when you kill an enemy, it also helps you regain your super a lot faster. So
Well, don't
let's
forget,
say if-
the Obsidian Mind has that ability as well.
It does have
That's
Inverse
why.
Shadow. Yeah. Well, it has
Yep,
Inverse
they both have
Shadow
Inverse.
and the second special Obsidian Mind ability.
Yep.
Yes. So that's why, like, even if you miss out on a couple of mobs with your Nova Bomb, and you're relatively close to getting your super again, a couple of kills with the Bad Juju, and you're pretty much good to go.
Yeah.
Yep. Ready to get back out there and blow stuff up.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So Pyro, as the other major Warlock player, what do you usually run with?
9 times out of 10, you'll see me with the Obsidian Mind as well. It's just one of my favorites. Visually, I really dig it. I know a lot of people probably don't because it's pretty plain, but I just like the jet black look and the ability's insane. Other than that, I tend to use the Heart of the Praxic Fire, but I use that more when I'm a Sunsinger. That will allow any Sunsinger its Radiance effect of reducing cooldowns for other friendlies in the immediate area to increase or decrease farther, including themselves. And they're just a really solid robe. I'm hoping that whenever I get a hold of the RAM, I'll be able to say that's one of my new favorites. But
Sure.
until I get it, I can't say that. But it is one of my favorite looking. I mean, who doesn't want to wear a goat head? That's pretty metal.
Right?
So, Rooster, I know you have a Warlock. What do you usually use with it?
The Obsidian Mind, and because I don't, of course, I mean, and there's not really a chest or anything that I use on it, like as a second. I do mainly PvE, not enough PvP.
Sure. So, when it comes to a Warlock, I primarily run the Light Beyond Nemesis. Um, I like the faster team revive. I do enough Crota that oh, I should note the Light Beyond Nemesis allows you to be rezzed faster, and it allows your team to be rezzed faster. It's basically the Crest of the Alpha Lupi, which is the team revive armor for Titans and Hunters. It's basically that for the Warlocks.
Yep.
And it also allows you to, when you pick up orbs, you restore health, which is great for Crota. I spend the vast majority of my time in that helmet. I have an Obsidian Mind. It's been sitting in my vault for like 2 months.
But again, you don't enjoy Voidwalker.
I don't like Voidwalker, and that's why.
It's my primary, so that's why I enjoy it.
When we're looking at the other slots, I actually just got a bunch of the gauntlets today, but I have been leveling the Heart of the Praxic Fire because I like the idea of running a really tanky Warlock build. But I think honestly I'm gonna stop leveling my Praxic Fire because I want to level the Apotheosis Veil instead. For that purpose. The Apotheosis Veil being another Warlock helmet that when you resurrect, or rather when you blow your Radiance, you become harder to kill and you resurrect, or you replenish all your health. It's a great just survivability helmet. And
if you pair that with your Flame Shield or Fire Skin, it creates a really difficult Sunsinger to kill.
Yeah, and not to mention Apotheosis Veil just looks super cool. So as far as Warlocks go, and really when we're going to be talking in this conversation, I spend my exotic slot almost exclusively on helmets. Only for specific situations do I switch over to any other slot. But yeah, when it's Warlock, generally speaking, I have my Light Beyond Nemesis on. So.
Well, aside from the new robes, it's always the best slot, really.
Yeah. So, Rooster, you said your primary hunter. So, what do you use? What exotic pieces for your hunter do you use?
I use the Mask of the Third Man, and I just like the way it looks with the 3 eyes. But also because of the I kind of switch back on the hunter. I switch back and forth between the Mask of the Third Man and the Chest of Alpha Lupi, because
Sure.
for the revive teammates faster. And
Such a good ability.
It really is.
yeah. To be honest, I didn't really pay attention a whole lot with the other classes, like what their armor and all that, until I started listening to you guys and playing with you guys a lot more. As far as, I don't know, I'm still kind of learning stuff.
Sure. Well, and I agree with you. When I'm running Hunter, I almost exclusively inside of my. If I'm in PvE, I am almost always in my Mask of the Third Man. The special perk there being, you use less energy per swing on your arc blade, is, I mean, it's incredible. You pair that with oh, uh, what's the ability name, Nem? The
The
one that
flash health when you pick up an orb and
not
arc blade attacks
No.
use less super.
it's the hunter perk. Oh, what am I doing? I'm on hunter. I can just look at it right now. Derp, derp. Encore. Killing an enemy with arc blade extends its
Oh.
duration. You put Encore on with the Mask of the Third Man, and you just have this near and so long as there's enemies to kill, you have arc blade. It's incredible. Um, I love Mask of the Third Man. Um, I do use the Knucklehead radar, like I said, in PvP because I love the concept of having third eye at all times. And then if I'm running the Abyss, I'll turn on my Don't Touch Me's just so that way I can go invisible. Um, Hunter, I think I enjoy their exotics the most because they are slightly more generalist than the others, but they also have, I think, just kind of more unique, kind of more fun perks. But that's just my
Yeah.
opinion.
No,
So-
they do. They really do.
So Nem, I know you spent quite a lot of time on your hunter. So what about you, man? What's your setup?
Um, I've been running with the Celestial Nighthawk. Um, just because one-shotting the Death Singer is awesome. Um, but prior to that, I would I would use the Mask of the Third Man because it has the infusion and the arc blade attacks use less super energy and Acrophage Symbiote. To be honest, I really don't use any of the other Hunter exotic pieces. Um, my Crest of Alphalupe is not even leveled up. Neither are my young Ahamkara Spine because rather when those they look awesome, I really don't need the extra couple of seconds for the trip mine grenades.
Sure.
So I just stick with the Acrophage Symbiote because it's amazing for Crucible, especially full 4 golden gunshots. That's super cool. And Mask of the Third Man for pretty much everything else.
Pyro?
Because yeah,
Um, well, Hunter's a little tricky for me. I have Mask of the Third Man, and generally that's what I'm wearing. But I don't particularly enjoy it. Blade Dancer, I just don't. I don't really care for it. I don't care for the super very much. I know I'm in the minority on that one, but
I just
I
suck
just-
with a gunslinger. I just suck with golden gun.
Me too.
I if I'm gonna be running a hunter, I would prefer to run gunslinger. I just don't have any of the armor. Well, I do now, but I didn't have a whole lot of the armor for the gunslinger. Just because like throwing knife, I prefer that over blink strike. The golden gun
That is fun to
itself.
play with.
Oh yeah, I much prefer. But if I'm not running Mask of the Third Man, I'm generally running Don't Touch Me's or Crest of Alpha Lupi. The Don't Touch Me's I find pretty useful for my play style. Generally, because I like to stay mid to semi-long range whenever possible. And if somebody comes up and hits me and I don't know they're there, say I'm sniping or whatever, it's a great way for me to get out of there and get to mid-range where I'm more comfortable.
Sure.
So I'm not the one running in and just knifing everything,
Sure.
which is why I don't particularly enjoy the
Blade Dancer.
Blade Dancer. That's just not my play style.
So if we're looking at Titans, then this is, and I feel like this is the same qualifications I put in the other two. I spend the vast majority of my time in my helmets. I have all of them. I like a couple of them. I think the new Eternal Warrior is disappointing. Granting Unstoppable for Fist of Havoc for free is pretty cool. but pretty much all that's letting you do is have Unstoppable and Shoulder Charge or Juggernaut. And if you're looking at that as a PvP helm, I use my Helm of Inmost Light with my Striker because Death from
It's
Above
just
and
it's just better.
Headstrong are just incredible to have together. So if I'm on
And-
my Titan, if I'm in PvP, I'm on Striker, and I'm going to be using my Helm of Inmost Light for those perks because 2 free perks is amazing.
Oh yeah.
If I'm in PvE, it's going to change between the Glass House and the Helm of Saint 14. The Glass House allowing me to go ahead and have my bubble extended for Blessing and Weapons of Light. Increasing that duration is amazing. And then Helm of Saint 14, blinding anybody that comes in the bubble on my defender is just really incredible. The only other thing that I really choose to use with my Titan is when I'm on Crota, I'll throw on my Ruin Wings because Ruin Wings causes more heavy ammo to drop and more ammo to be in the boxes, which is really incredible. Picking up a single box of heavy ammo and getting 4 rockets out of it is just so incredibly useful.
Well, and more importantly, you're consistently getting that amount.
Yes.
Because even on like my Warlock, I've gotten 4 rounds out of a heavy before. It's very rare, but it can happen.
Yeah.
But to be able to do it consistently is the important part.
Yeah. And Ruin Wings are one of those exotics that we were mentioning at the beginning that I would call sheerly an exotic piece of armor for that reason. It's such a distinct, useful ability that you feel the difference with it and you feel the difference without it.
Yeah, and it's only boosted by having a good exotic heavy like Yallarhorn or Thunderlord.
Well, even
It's
if
only
you're
gonna
just
get
using
better.
even if you're using just something like a corrective measure, that thing is just
no.
insane.
Right, no argument, but I'm just saying it only gets better the
Yeah.
better you have equipped. So
That's true.
kind of an obvious statement, but
Well, yeah, but at the same time, it's one of the few cases in this game where you can just make something just distinctly better.
yeah. Well, when you can have essentially unlimited Yallarhorn ammo, it's going to make that weapon feel even better than it already is.
Yeah. So, Pyro, I mean, it sounds like you have a set of Ruin Wings as well. What all are you using?
Mostly, I've been switching to Saint 14. I had Helm of Inmost Light for a long time, but I was only using that because I didn't have a Helm of Saint 14.
Sure.
And I just wanted to run a Striker for a little bit. But for the most part, I run Armamentarium. I love never needing ammo.
Well,
Just being able to
Armamentarium
hold.
gives you what, extra special, extra heavy, and an extra grenade.
Yes.
Wow.
And it may not sound all that special, but equip it and try it out. In my opinion, it is the best Titan armor exotic, just because it's so useful in any situation. PvP, it's going to be great. PvE, it's going to be even better.
I mean, utility pieces like that are hard to beat for sure.
Right. But yeah, those are generally the two. Now that I got Ruin Wings and I just got a new set this morning with the new level increase, I'm probably going to start leveling those up. I had an old set, but I never really touched them because I knew the upgrade was coming and I just got them like 3 weeks ago. And I didn't want to bother with them, but
Yeah.
I think I'm going to now.
So, Rooster, how about you? What do you run with the Titan?
I'm kind of new to the Titan, learning his abilities, but I usually use the Insurmountable Skull Fort because it looks cool because it has a flashing skull on the face. And also,
It's very unique.
Yeah, replenish health when you pick up an orb, and Storm Fist kills also regenerate your health. That's
which is
pretty.
really good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like that. But again, it all depends on the situation. I have the helm, the Saint 14, and the Glass House. When I'm
See,
running
what
Defender, I kind of like the helm of Saint 14.
what I do really like about the Skull Fort is it's the only, well, other than the, I believe, the Eternal Warrior now, um, but it is fantastic for Crota because it actually has infusion on it.
Hmm.
Yeah,
It's
not
the
many Titan pieces have that.
it's the only Titan helm, I think, other than Eternal Warrior now that actually has infusion. So having that thing
Yep.
plus being able to punch a thrall and regen health, great for Crota. Absolutely great
That's super
weapon.
funny. One of my Crota helms has infusion.
Oh,
I've
interesting.
never pulled that on a Titan helm out of Crota.
Yeah.
I always get the
The
regen
Warlock
grenade.
one will.
Oh, it can happen. I just always get the orbs regen
Yeah.
grenade. So, and then Nem, what about you? What do you spend time on with your Titan?
So it depends. For raids, Saint 14. Simply for crowd control, and that's a
Yeah,
given.
yeah,
But if I'm going to be doing something a little less stressful,
Like a
um,
strike.
like exactly, like if I'm running rock strikes or now dragon strikes, um, I will slap on, and I'm pretty sure you guys are going to question this. No backup plans.
yeah. I've shredded 3 pairs of those things, so I would love to hear that.
I'm getting
So
ready to shred one now.
with the correct build, with the correct build, the Defender Titan can be an immense orb making machine.
Oh yeah.
Um, so what I do is I have my force barrier to to create orbs of light whenever I melee somebody. So that's when I throw on the no backup plan, so I can have a longer period of time to make orbs for the team and not worry about them not having a super. Because when I also throw up my Ward of Dawn, I'll have it when that it
You get
takes
the extra
damage.
3.
I get extra orbs with the more heavy damage it takes, and I have Iron Harvest as well. So heavy kills will make orbs of light.
Yep.
That's fair.
Quite
So
beneficial.
I constantly provide orbs for my teammates.
That's fair.
On top of providing a bubble.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think that pretty well covers, it as far as, here's what some of the players in the clan use, and these are, you kind of get a pattern of what we all use, and it seems pretty fair that it's either helmets primarily, or on the off chance you're looking at um, gloves, and then you have the armamentarium. But on the whole, oh, I'm the only person not got passage coins. Boo. Um, Helmets really do seem to come across as the best exotic armor slot.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get down to the final category of exotic weapons. There are, with the addition of House Wolves, 29 of them, um, and there are just way too many to sit here and go through all of them one at a time. So let's just do the same thing of let's break it by category of primary, um, special, and heavy, and just go through them. But let's start with heavies first because this is going to be quick and simple, I'm sure. Um, so Nem, what are your exotic heavies? What do you use?
Gjallarhorn
Yep,
consistently, and every now and then I throw on the Thunderlord.
sure.
Because as far as heavy goes, I hardly use them unless it's necessary, and that's when I throw on the rocket launcher.
Yep.
Well, and you and I have the same exotic heavies. The only thing I switch out, because when you have a Yallarhorn, you just use a Yallarhorn on
Yeah.
everything. Like there's a one drag over there, screw him. Um, there's 14 thralls, great, they're all gonna die. Um, the only thing that I switch out is the super good advice for killing
Mm.
oracles in the vault, because it takes. I even have my SGA at uh, 365, but
Ooh, nice.
yeah, what makes the SGA so good is that almost every round that misses will go back to the magazine, and oracles count as a miss. So, despite the fact oracles take between 14 and 16 bullets to kill, for Templar oracles, it only takes like 5 or 6 on the Atheon oracles. I'm spending normally 0 to 3 bullets on an oracle with the SGA, and it already holds 58 just base. So I mean, you're getting to sit there and hold a lot
Yeah,
of ammo with that thing. It's really incredible.
that's
So,
insane.
so Rooster, what about you, man? What are you using in your exotic heavy slot?
Since I don't have a Galahorn, I have to go between Thunderlord and Super Good Advice.
Sure.
No truth or dragon's breath?
Well, okay. Now, I don't really like the Dragon's Breath because it doesn't have tracking, but I do have a Truth. So I guess it'd have to be those three. And I didn't really know about the returning ammo perk until probably a couple weeks
Still
ago.
about 20
And that
seconds
is
ago?
quite, no, it is quite beneficial
Yeah.
that you
Oh,
can
yeah.
constantly have ammo in there and not have to reload
The
because
downside
it does
is you
reload
can't
quite
hit
slow.
the broadside of a barn half the time.
Well, but I think it was Azimuth and Volix. I could be wrong about this. Uh, I know Azimuth was involved, but they stood there with, I think it was a Yolder's hammer and a with Mulligan and SGA, and they're just like, we're gonna stand here and see who can fire for longer. And the Yolder's hammer ran out in like 30 seconds. The SGA took over 90 seconds to empty because it just
Wow.
that's how often it
Mul-
returns ammo.
Mulligan is just a terrible ability.
Yeah. So
It just never triggers.
so Pyro, what about you, man? What's your exotic heavy slot?
Basically same as you guys, Yallarhorn and Thunderlord. Anymore, I try to keep the slot to legendary, but when I need it, it's one of those two.
And we forgot. I mean, in case you don't know, Yallarhorn is the tracking rocket launcher that has tracking cluster missiles. So generally speaking, one rocket out of Yallarhorn counts for about 2.5 to 3 rockets out of anything else. It is just simply overpowered. I love it. Don't get me wrong. That's why you use it on everything, especially if you have Ruin Wings on. But it is really, really powerful. The Thunderlord has persistence on it,
Yep.
and what's the second perk? It's not coming to my head.
The second perk is
Lightning rounds. Weapon fires faster and more accurately the longer trigger is held.
yep,
Oh, and then
and
it has
Feeding Frenzy.
Feeding Frenzy. There you go.
Yep.
So, I mean, and let's be honest, the best part about Thunderlord is the noise it makes because that gun is super cool when it fires.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Crack the sky.
So special weapons. We have. I doubt anybody has the Dreg's Promise because Elder Cipher. So we're looking at fusion rifles, shotguns, and sniper rifles here. What is everybody using in this slot? Rooster, why don't you go first, man?
I try and keep a sniper rifle in there. But now, since the House of Wolves came out, I switch between the Icebreaker, of course, and the Bestian Dynasty, which
Sure.
is, I love that weapon.
Well, and the Icebreaker is incredible because it has infinite ammo. I mean, you run out of
Yes.
shots and it'll just start regenerating its own ammo. That's
Of
why
course,
it's so
it's
good.
Very good perk.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I agree with you. Like that Vestian Dynasty, that little sidearm is just, it's so much fun. I love that gun.
Way better than a murmur.
Bonkers.
Yeah. Oh, totally better than Murmur. Pyro, what about you, man? What are you running in your special slots?
Honestly, I hardly ever have a special weapon exotic equipped. Um, I know a lot of people enjoy the invective, but I'm just not a huge fan of it. And it's just because I already have a decent shotgun. If I'm going to be
Swordbreaker's
running one, yeah, if I'm going to be running one, it's usually Icebreaker, but even then, it's only really for raid bosses, and that's about it. I will
Sure.
hardly ever have one equipped.
Sure.
Although I'm starting to use patience and time a little bit more, but
Well,
even that, I've got sniper rifles that are just as strong.
Patience and Time is so incredible though because it's super stable. It has third eye, and when you aim down sights, you get invisibility on, so you can go
Yeah.
invisible on any character with that thing.
Which, by the way, I don't think we mentioned Icebreaker kills with it. Basically, Firefly,
Oh, you're right.
and it has infinite ammo.
The difference
Well,
though
constantly
for
respawning.
there is a difference with Icebreaker, and there's a reason it's not Firefly.
Oh yeah.
It's because its Firefly is basically Bloom, in that if you get touched by the explosion, you will then or the next enemy will explode. It's not a
Yes.
matter of it explodes once; it will create a chain of explosions.
Right. I was just likening it to something.
Yeah.
And then Invective, which we also
Infinite
mentioned.
ammo, but that regens
Infinite
clips,
ammo.
not shots.
Right. But it's also fully auto.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But yeah, aside from those two, I'm not a huge fusion rifle fan. I don't like them. So I'm not going to be using any of the others really.
Sure.
I spend most of my time in heavy or primary. So.
Nem, what about you, man?
So like Pyro, I usually don't use my exotic slot in the special. But when I do, most of the time, as of late, it's the fourth horseman.
Sure.
So that infamous shotgun, when it was first released out in the wild, it was quite butts. The reload
As most
speed,
shotguns were.
yeah, the reload speed was atrocious. Its stability was insanely bad. The only
Its
real
range
thing
is
to
non-existent.
yeah, the only up kind of thing that it had going for it was the rate of fire, which then got nerfed, and it literally made that shotgun useless. And then they gave it back, and with the 100% damage shotgun buff, it turned that weapon into something that a lot of people are even now using to kill Stolas with. So it's a viable shotgun now. But as far as that, I used to run with Icebreaker a lot, but I think I've gotten a little more use of Fourth Horseman for my special lately.
Sure. So specials, I actually cycle through my slots a lot, and I will frequently have something in the special. Though, admittedly, primary is where I have most of them set, and that's why we're doing them last. But I love the invective. If I'm gonna put a sniper rifle on, if it's I will use Icebreaker for certain situations, but most of the time I'm going to use Patience and Time, especially in PvP, because Patience is just so damn good. As far as fusion rifles go, I'm either going to be putting on. Well, I'm going to use either of them really, because the Pocket Infinity that you charge up once and then full auto with a decent mulligan, and somebody found a universal remote. Oh, I got an NL Shadow. Cool. The sorry, the that ability to fire a fusion rifle at full auto with a chance of getting a shot back just because a single particle of the shot missed. Just insane. I really, really dig that weapon. And then the Plan C is brutally good in PvP, due to the fact that you can switch weapons to it and instantly fire it, and it has some pretty bananas range. And that's one of the reasons, or one of the perks of the Plan C, is when you switch to it, you gain faster charge time and ready time. So I like that a lot. If I have a shotgun on, it's going to be Invective, generally speaking. Well, it's the only one I have other than Universal Remote. And then Sniper is going to be Patience in Time. So that brings us to the final thing, primary weapons. Pyro, launch on.
When it comes to primaries, I like to hop around a lot. Most of the time I'll use my Red Death if I'm actually using a primary exotic. It was the first primary I got. It's still to this day one of my favorites, and that's mostly just because you can keep that range, and it's one of the most stable guns I've ever used. And its range is pretty bonkers too, but what makes Red Death as good as it is, and pretty infamous really, is its ability to restore your health upon a kill. Specifically with that weapon, so a melee won't do it, but if you kill with it, your health regen will immediately trigger, and I really enjoy that weapon. Yeah. But lately I've been getting into a little bit more of the hand cannons. Last Words, a lot of fun. Not overly great in PvP, or PvE, sorry. But it's a lot of fun. I actively avoid using Thorn, which is notorious for activating a DOT on someone, and it's just a really good weapon. It's just one of those that people don't like it when you use it.
Yeah. Well, and Red Death is the pulse rifle, and the Last Word and
Yes.
Thorn being hand cannons. So
Yes. I would like to start using my, and that's somebody's car getting broken into. My hard light. I would love to start using that more. It's just unfortunately, as everyone knows, auto rifles received a crippling nerf recently, and has just made them somewhat of a joke.
Yeah.
So that's my 2 cents.
Nem, what about you, man?
So in terms of design wise, the Vex Mythoclast is by far my favorite primary, and it's technically considered a fusion rifle that you can use in your primary slot. But everything about the Vex Mythoclast, man, I love. I love the sound that it makes when you shoot it. The aesthetics of the gun itself look great. It was an incredibly original gun that Bungie made. And in terms of actual primary exotics that I'll run with, hardly any in PvE, but as of late in the Crucible, I have found the Last Word to be enjoyable. I have Thorn, but I dislike using that gun because I can't use it very well.
Mm-hmm.
And I used for a good amount of time. I used Hawkmoon, which is one of the PlayStation exclusive hand cannons.
The
Well,
sniper
only
rifle in your
PlayStation
hands.
exclusive. Yeah. It's insane. It's just because, I mean, there's nothing special per se about the Hawkmoon. It's just the perks that it has that makes 3 bullets out of the 13 that it has. It
Yeah.
just makes them really overpowered. but
And the gun is already overpowered.
Yeah, 2
essentially,
random
it
bullets
looks
in
like
the
a
chamber
peasant.
get extra, and then it has luck in the chamber, so it's just so good. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, but as far as like primary all-time favorite, it has to be the Betsy class.
sure. Rooster, what about you, man? What are you using your primary?
I try. I don't know. I like the Red Death, and I don't know. It's hard to keep an exotic in there because I have so many in the other slots.
Sure,
But
that's fair.
it's between Red Death and now I got the Monte Carlo last night, and I'm really in that. So I think it'd have to be one of those two.
Well, and I agree with you. Monte Carlo having the hip fire perk and then the ability of damage that it deals helps regen your melee, and then a kill with the Monte Carlo has the chance to automatically replenish your melee is just so insanely good. I love that gun, and when we're talking about Crucible, I'm running either Last Word, the full auto hand cannon, the Monte Carlo, or Hard Light. And Hard Light has volatile rounds, so when you're using it, rounds fired from the weapon overpenetrate targets and ricochet. And then it also has glass half full, so the bottom half of the mag deals extra damage. Just really, really a fun weapon. The problem with
With a
those
40-round mag.
with a 40 round mag, and the Monte Carlo has a base 36, which can go up to 56 with Field Scout. So really, really great weapons, just horribly damaged by that debuff. So they take 2 of my all-time favorite weapons and just shank them. When
I would
we're
like to point
talking
out the. Oh, go ahead.
when we're talking for PVE, that's gonna really range depending on what we're doing. I I love the Necrochasm. The thing is garbage, but I love using it. Precision kills with the weapon trigger Curse Thrall explosions. So you get guys just blow up blue. It's very cool. But it's a bullet hose. It has no impact. It has a huge clip, and you spend most of that clip to not kill something. I love the gun, but again, because of the damage drop off, it's absolutely terrible.
Yeah.
The Vex, like I said, I really enjoy. The Bad Juju, because of String of Curses and Inverse Shadow. String of Curses being, when you get a kill with it, you automatically get a free mag, and you regenerate more super energy. Super good. I mean, they're just a lot of fun. They're great weapons. The only other one that I can sit here and say distinctly that I really firmly enjoy is the Universal Remote. I love that gun.
Oh, that's really fun to use.
I
You
haven't
know,
used it in a while.
it's a primary shotgun, which when you aim down scope, you get better range and precision damage. It's a super cool gun, and another one that suffered from nerfs.
Very much so.
Yeah. So, final question. Everybody, what is your, even if you didn't talk about it, what is your favorite exotic weapon? Mine has to be my Monte Carlo. It's too cool.
For you, Monte Carlo, man, that's an excellent question because I don't have this particular weapon yet, and I've seen a lot of gameplay on it, and I know I'm gonna have so much fun with this thing. Um, I can't wait to get the Queen's Breaker bow.
Yeah.
That looks so much fun to use.
The new House of Wolves exotic fusion rifle from the Elder Cipher that basically you can switch
Yeah.
it from shotgun to sniper rifle mode. It's a very cool weapon.
What? Really?
Yeah. You
Yep.
change the scope on it, and it changes the way the gun functions. So really neat gun.
Yeah.
So
I gotta give Bungie that really quick. They really designed those exotics pretty well. obviously different enough to where it makes a difference and not just kind of like a reskin.
Yeah. Rooster, what about you, man? What's your favorite exotic?
I have to go with the Red Death. I just like it.
Sure.
It heals you, and it's got pretty good range on it. And it took me forever to get one.
Nice.
And it's
Pyro,
got a
what
giant
about-
knife on the front.
Well, do you have a plan C?
Yes, I do.
Then you have completed your bayonet collection, because the Plan C, Monte Carlo, and Red Death are the only weapons in game that have bayonets. Now you know.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Pyro, what about you, man? Your favorite exotic?
First, I'd like to point out that the only reason the exclusives were not on my list is
'Cause
because
we don't
unlike
have 'em.
everyone else, I haven't gotten one. As incredibly frustrating as that is, I just want to point out that's the only reason. They're all fantastic guns, and they would be on my list if I had them. That being said, just like Rooster, my favorite is the Red Death. But that's mostly because it being my first exotic, there's a bit of sentimentality.
Your
with
first
it.
was the Universal Remote. It dropped with me
That's
when I
true.
got my No Land Beyond.
That's true, but the first one that was usable. At
Fair.
that time, that's when the big shotgun nerf was in place. So
That's fair.
it was a essentially useless gun at that point. But yeah, there's a bit of sentimentality there, and as you've seen, it's dropped 1.5 million times for me. But yeah. Plus, it saw me all the way from level 24 to 32. So
There you go, man.
I'll stand by that gun.
All right. Well, on that, I think we should call episode 3 a wrap. We ran pretty long on this one, but there was a lot to talk about. So we appreciate you guys sticking around and listening to us talk about all this. If you have any questions and you want to pitch your favorite exotics, or tell us that we suck at our decisions and that No Land Beyond is the greatest weapon ever. Side note, it is. Go ahead and you can find us on all kinds of social media. We are on Facebook. You can find us on Twitter at Hero Unit Clan. And we're on Pinterest and a couple other places. The big news is that we are going to have our website, herounit.org, launched within the next week. We are very, very excited about this. Yeah, and so we're going to be doing some pretty crazy stuff. As a just kind of spoiler of some of the silly things we have planned for event-wise, we do have the Time Trials of Osiris, in which we'll be sparrow racing inside the trials and scoring points based on who dies last. So the Time Trials of Osiris are going to be a lot of fun. Anyways, thanks for sticking around, guys, and that's a wrap.
Well, more importantly, be sure if you ever see us in parties, that's the best way to talk to us. Get to know us. We want to know you.
For sure, send us friend requests.
Yep. Don't be afraid to enter parties and ask for help. That's what admins are for.
Cool. Rooster, thanks for coming on, man.
Thanks for having me.